Weibo looking on this B1?
I mean, you still have things like Rise. We've seen the Rise and Orianna here on 25-19 have been really, really impactful. You can see that JDG responding to that, I think, quite well. The Kiana, to me, a champion that honestly you just cannot give over to Tian. I think him and Kenavi have looked like the best Kiana players here in the LPL. And getting rid of Nico, I think very, very telling. Both of these teams are, I think, teams that don't necessarily prioritize this champion. And also with how lane swaps have evolved here on this patch and previously, winning lane matchups aren't as important anymore. So going to be quite telling to see what the first picks are. But usually early on, especially in best of threes, seeing a lot of focus going into mid.
Yeah, Rise, Azir, Orianna. I mean, those are, I would assume, top 3 on the pick band so far of the limited looks we've gotten of this ASI. Where do we want to go with this B1? You do still have Talia. I mean, maybe you just, or the Aurora. Like, these are 2 champions that Xiaoxu feels very comfortable on. So Xiaohu will pick that one up.
Yep, guarantees a very strong lane. We've been seeing that the answer into Aurora has mostly been LeBlanc. And some people trying to go over top, trying to burst her in the laning phase. Also just means that Weibo do have some flexibility between their solo lanes, so hopefully that's one lane that generates some kind of priority, the ability to punish their opponents as well. JDG leaning on some old comforts though. Corki was one of the most picked champions that we saw from Peyz in this last split, and something that I have personally been a big fan of because I think it smooths some of the worst parts of JDG's gameplay, which is the laning phase, particularly with this 2v2.
With the hovers, at least, it feels like they're trying to look at... Okay, never mind. We're just...
You're getting baited by hovers.
Yeah, I mean, Shun is clicking all the champions here as they get down. I like to see the Alistar. Yeah, this is a classic combination. So we're going to get Zhuo on a very comfortable Alistar, like you mentioned. Comfort for JDG. What does the turn look like here for Tian, especially? We talked a bit about his champion pool, where he's looked to go, all the dirty work he does for this team. Feels like they might not respond with bottom lane now. It might just be kind of a handshake of, we're going to shore up our top side on Weibo, and JDG obviously have their bottom lane already composed.
Alright, so still leaving a lot of different skirmishers available. I think it's a little tough to play Jarvan into Alistar personally. Yes, you can have the ability to go in and lock down targets, most likely just to force the Valkyrie or do a Valkyrie check on the Corki. But versus an Alistar, you can very quickly just headbutt him out or immediately burst out this champion. So a decent enough front line here from Weibo. I mean, you have a lot of go buttons, especially the ability to go forward. So for Weibo, it seems like they have a pretty decent front line. Here from JDG now, I kind of want to see whether or not they're going to opt for more champions that are going to allow or receive a lot of this incoming pressure, or if they're going to try to circumnavigate that, maybe try to go over top with another tank top lane matchup. Maybe they just try to slam through some of these lanes, considering we already talked about the Corki and the Alistar as a 2v2. Now with the Gnar, it seems like they want to try to see if Xiaoxu can put the brakes down onto Breathe.
I do think, you mentioned Breathe has been a bit weaker in lane. The Cassante can be a bit more kind to that sort of style, right? You're kind of just nullifying a lot of it. It's going to be annoying. You expect Xiaoxu to get a bit of a farm lead on this range Gnar, but Breathe is best when you get this Cassante out of lane. So getting that comfort pick is still pretty big. And now as we roll into the second phase and our bans are coming out, I expect them to be pretty 80 carry pointed, especially at light. I think... I mean, he's a big fan of the Jhin in a lot of spots. I don't think it's going to work here. They already take away the Kai'Sa. I am curious what Light wants to put together in this game. Is he still just center stage? I don't know why Light Scam is just so, like, he is up there, man. Yeah,
someone was playing TFT. Hey! Someone was playing TFT in the background before these games. Like, that is a perfect warm-up. I don't... In theory, I would actually really like a Jhin here for Weibo. I think giving your team, with how much poke you have from mid-jungle, the ability to use a Deadly Flourish, allow him to play from range so he doesn't get into effective touching distance between like a Corki or an Alistar or a Gnar. But I don't think this team has enough damage if that's going to be the
problem,
case.
Right? Yeah.
So is this maybe a Xayah? I think that's fine for them. Ezreal could also be interesting, allows you to buffer any kind of crowd control coming in from JDG, because right now from Jindong, what I'm seeing is they have a lot of conditional crowd control. Like, they have to be able to land. You can get out of the headbutt and the pulverize combo. You can avoid the Gnar ultimate. So they need some kind of lockdown, and it has to come from either mid or jungle here.
Wukong not going to be one of those more surefire abilities with the Cyclone. So you start to think about what could be good options. Poppy, that's just going to be a direct counter to this Jarvan. So another reason why Tian is going to have a much harder time navigating this game for Weibo.
Okay, so Poppy's a good denial. I do think that JDG are very short-ranged now, and that becomes problematic when we're talking about playing into K'Sante and the Aurora. I feel like this plays exactly into their range and what they want to be able to accomplish in team fights. Okay, Yunara as a hover I think is fine. Lucian gives you the flexibility, and now you can't go Lucian Braum, but honestly, like, Lucian Milio is fine here. I know we've been seeing a lot of Lucian and Leona as well. Still a pretty decent 2v2 there, and I think the ability to then have pick potential in the mid game is fine, especially versus a Gnar. Rakan can flip some of the matchups and gives Chris the chance to also change targets with his battle dance. You can move forward with a champion like Aurora or the Jarvan.
Not a pairing you normally see, though, right? You talked about Leona and Shanters. Rakan Lucian, a pairing that doesn't have a lot of stats behind it. We'll see if Light and Chris can make this one work. R5, though, for the man chilling with one AirPod in, one headphone in. What does he want to try and counter? Xiaohu, couple of decent hovers. I wonder if how good does a cast angle look into the... All right, well, never mind.
No, we're not playing Cassiopeia into Jarvan. I'm sorry. This is not happening.
True.
That one sounds very, very miserable. Okay, Victor, a champion that can be very resilient in the laning phase is the word I'll use, but I don't know. I won't lie, Slayer. I see this JDG comp. I think, surprisingly enough, I don't think they have enough frontline here because most of it is going to be Sun and Duo, but Poppy is actually not that tanky. I feel like a lot of people get this champion wrong, and they're like, oh, this champion has a ton of stats. You have the steadfast presence that also gives you resistances when you're at a certain HP threshold, but Poppy kind of wants to go in, maybe abuse phase rush in some aspects to get in and get out, but aside from that, it's more of like a burst champion or a denial instead of being like a frontline. So when I look at this from JDG's perspective, I think you have a lot of ways of being able to bounce back. I think their identity is also a little bit more clear than their team. And while they have mostly pushing lanes in some of these matchups, the thing that I want to see from these two teams is, can we actually properly set up an objective? Because Weibo have had struggles, especially with getting their bot lane in position, and JDG have had some terrible objective setups just in this tournament alone in 2 games.
Yeah, another worry I think I have from JDG with the damage profile, you gotta wait a bit for like definitely Victor to come online, and then Corki even, like, you really want, Trinity Force is expensive, you want to get to more mana, you're looking at like a Lucian, an Aurora, a J4 Sundered Sky, that is a lot more skirmish reliable damage. So like you talked about with setup issues for JDG, if they're not set up correctly and they're late to some of these objectives, like, where's the damage until you get enough items behind this Victor and Corki? We'll have to find out. Yeah, there was a lot up in the air for this series, a lot of tape on our two teams, and like you heard Alk Battery mention, could be one of the final times we get to see Weibo versus JD Gaming in the year 2025, and we're on to the Rift with a ceremonious fan start.
There we go. Glad they're having fun. There is no fans in the arena, if you couldn't tell from the multiple of the player statues that we got to see in game. But I don't know, Slayer. Like, Victor doesn't have the most amount of fun if he doesn't have a flash versus Aurora, Jarvan, and the Rakan. So let's see how the 2v2 goes. We've had a lot of criticisms for Light and Crisp, and while Peyz and Jewel haven't been the strongest, I think Peyz's most recent performances have left a lot to be desired, and that's not even including the fact that Jewel has been a player that I think has been pretty hit or miss.
Yeah, just kind of trying to play stopgap. It's the support role for JDG has been such a rough go of it. They're going to deny Crisp coming up here, and we do get the swap through here. I was curious to see if we get this AD carry in the 1v1 sort of scenario. into a Gnar that can kind of match the trading power, but Light opts for it, so it's going to be a breathe with Chris for the time being, and Light to the top side, and Xiaohu and Scout are already throwing hands, level 1. Both of them burning their flashes, and it's just an auto-attack battle that Scout is going to win.
Yeah, but now Xiaohu is kind of trapped here because the wave is gonna. He's stuck. We're actually seeing that Crisp. He got the level 2 for his top, or his top laner is going to catch this next wave. He's coming mid. There's no flash here for Scout, and they have Vision of Shin. Oh, they're not gonna be able to make the play. He's pulling back. The wave's in a bit of a weird spot. You can see that Alistar now has to come and help and fix this situation.
You've also got Tian looming over towards his own mid laner's turret. Yes, this is a LPL gameplay if I've seen it already, where we got a level 1 Chris dodging an Alistar. Tian's guarding Xiaohu on his camps. Now Shun gets the snake in behind. Tian kind of knows that Shun is hanging around here, but he still gets slammed into the wall. The double knockup's going to come across as well, but where is the damage? There is no early damage on any of these teams, but Tian's going to flag drag forward. Scout is without flash, and Scout is first blood victim here for Weibo. Chris going to get the nice healing. Tian gets a shield, and Shun is out of there without a mid laner, but Tian says, not so fast. I like the look of Xiaohu here. Let's get your flash out of here. Hell, let's take a TP off Scout. He wants to come back expedited. Oh, this series, man.
That is, Scout's dead. This Scout's dead.
I don't think he's dead. I think
he just TP'd back. Xiaohu still has this teleport. This is why this Aurora is so potent.
Shun's coming around.
Shun's gonna come back. Okay.
Shun's coming back here. All right, Chris, stay away from the wall. Yep. All right.
Guys, what am I watching? All right. Well, look, JDG versus Weibo is always going to be entertaining. Now, I kind of want to touch back on that top lane match because you mentioned Gnar does have a little bit more range. This used to be an old school counter when Lucian top lane was still very, very prevalent. You used to be able to play it into Gnar. You could try to abuse him in the laning phase, but has changed up a little bit. Obviously, values have changed since then. Also, marksmen have gotten a lot of damage taken out of their kits just flatly thanks to the durability patch that we had a little bit ago. Not a little bit ago, a while ago now. But this is a good start here for Weibo. Not just the fact that they won that kill, but they got a good lane situation. They basically fixed Xiaohu's mid-wave state and made a pretty good play out of nothing, honestly.
Let's see, though, if Breathe is going to get punished trying to step up to his wave. Hex Flash for Joel from behind. Breathe does have Flash, and good timing on it. Going to make sure no knockup comes across, but good little mini gank there from Joel as he unites back with his 80 carry that he hasn't seen in a hot minute.
I think also we get to see why I think JDG's comp is a little at odds. They don't have that conditional crowd control. We saw multiple times in that mid lane play that Joel could not get headbutt pulverize combos for one reason or another. And Crisp can also interrupt it if he gets the W down. So, I mean, we're seeing a lot of fun stuff happen across the Rift. But Scout,
there's 3 people mid, bro. Oh my God, is Scout gonna lift this? All right.
Yes,
bro.
Okay. What did they do this mini wave? So Xiaohu did hit it. The mid wave for JDG is going to hit first, and Joel is going to be here at the very least, either just collect ambient farm. I know it says that they're even in CS, but Xiaohu should be up like a quarter of a level after this mini lane wave, and also be decently ahead or this early on with the gold lead.
That's big on the Aurora. Again, Weibo definitely going to be a lot more comfortable skirmishing when we get to these Grubs conversations. Maybe the Drake on the bot side. Everybody just loving the mid lane. Like the hottest club in town right now. Shuo's hanging around here too. He's picking up some pretty valuable levels. He's got a lead over Chris by this point, who joins back up with Light towards the top side. And as you pointed out, Scout going to fall a bit behind in the CS and the levels, and Shuo's really not helping at least the XP part of that conversation. Tian wants to join back towards the mid lane here. So is Shun. We're just doing this dance again. Everybody is dancing around the mid lane.
They need to be very careful, though, because they don't have eyes on Crisp, who's on a flank, and Xiaohu on this mid-wave could get level 6 in the middle of this fight.
Crisp is camping out. Good call there, Alk. Xiaohu gets access to the Between Worlds. Looks like they're going to let Joel reset here as Peyz can take another trade. Breathe really wanted to get an angle to go all out, and he's going to eat a turret shot for it. Peyz not going to allow him the angle to go in. Tofo strikes level 3. Breathe is once again going to get routed. and flaked on. He has no idea this is happening. Xiaohu is just going back to the bread and butter, and this time Breathe. Well, he's got the all-out to cut the angle through, and I think he's going to have to use it onto Xiaohu. Headbutt, pulverize back towards the turret. Breathe, holding onto that ultimate. It's going to get stunned up, and he's going to try and turn back onto Peyz. I don't think the homie's even going to cast the all-out. Yeah, gets a shield. Kasante Gaming, not this time. Kill over to Peyz.
Okay, but what can we see JDG actually get for this? Because now what Weibo are doing, they're on the top side of the map. They're taking camps away. We're seeing that Shun is making a beeline to the enemy Raptors. But I think that they can try to defend this. Crisp is now showing in mid. Xiaohu's looking.
Worlds. Scout holding on to that flash and the Arcane Star. Chris gets to speed up from the heel. There's Scout having to flash away from a good knockup. Chris, though, gets denied by Xiaohu, who re-engages, gets a good stun on a Tian. Don't know if he's able to capitalize on the Cataclysm. Good little interrupt there from Xiaohu to make sure he doesn't get caught either. Nobody really ends up getting caught except for Scout's flash.
Yeah, Breathe dies there, but that is still going to be Weibo stealing at least 2 camps on top side. Now they get the Raptors, and look at Tian's camps. Red buff is up. Respawning Krugs, his top side is up and available, so he can now make the rotation. Light is going to go there as well, and now that Chris has teleported back into the mid lane, they can start to transfer a lot of their vision control up into the top side of the map. So I like this idea from Weibo. I think that we're seeing JDG be a little bit slow to the punch, and I don't think we've really seen them set up the map a little bit more proactively.
That was a big thing you were looking for from both of our teams, is how much setup is going to really dictate this series. We're going to see Tian walking his way up towards this top river. I think he's just going to start these grubs up.
Yeah.
Shun out of base is going to be late here, and they've got Crisp covering. Don't know if this is the best time for Xiaohu to reset. Xiaohu is still looking to make plays with this Alistair, but Crisp is way too sneaky to really get thwarted on that. If they just buy time here, I think Tian's going to pick up all 3 of these grubs.
That's a pretty nasty investment. I mean, 12, you know they had vision here. You're just dead.
Okay, yep. Xiaohu really wishes he had an Unbreakable Will right now. Is he actually not dead? Keeper's worked over the wall. Oh, all right. Shun punts out Tian. Peyz is walking down Breathe. Nope, you're not out of it. We're still in the thick of it right now. I think Breathe's going to be fine. Let's go back to the grubs. I think Tian's going to pick the... Oh, no, we're not done. Oh, no, the slow landed. All right, Breathe's going all out. He's going to flash after Peyz. Peyz, we're going to have to use the summoners at some point. Good little sidestep there. The rocket. Maybe Peyz is locked back in. But Breathe is going to survive here. Action all over the map.
Okay. So Tian ends up going for the grubs. This is going to be 3 grubs going over to Weibo. Now, can they actually side lane? That's going to be something that we'll have to end up seeing throughout this game. Meganar no longer available. This could be a dive going on to Xiaoxu.
Gonna have to flash the Cataclysm. That's gonna be coming right for his noggin here. He's trying to cut the wave down desperately, but the grubs are doing good enough help there. There's the flash out of the Cataclysm, but more than enough turret cover, and Light is gonna bring the damage. Tian gets the kill.
All right, JDG, they're gonna start up this dragon. This is probably gonna be at least another minion wave missed here by Xiaoxu. Doesn't have teleport either, so probably just gonna have to go bottom side, pick up this wave after he respawns. But I mean, Weibo seems like they are the ones that are dictating the game to their opponents. Tian has an early lead here in this game. We saw a lot of action in the mid lane, and I think part of that, also the movement between Tian and Crisp, has been really, really good to make sure that they can progress the state of the game, make sure that they're contesting Shun on his camps, and trying to counter jungle, so that not only are they getting a lead and providing at least a little bit of assistance, but they're also taking away and creating information for themselves as to where this Poppy could be in the next few moments.
We talked a little bit about, in the draft, the expensive early items for Peyz. I think this is a good point to bring it up because Light already has his Essence Reaver done. It's going to be a little bit of time before Peyz can get the Trendy Force locked in. Luckily for JDG, though, there aren't going to be any really big objectives to bring a skirmish where Light can take control of the mid-game power of the solution. So by the time we get towards a Mountain Drake in 4 minutes or the Herald in a bit shorter time, Peyz will be right on toe item-wise with the slight gold lead that he has for Light. And like we talked about, with Scout still a very far ways away from bringing a ton of damage, going the rower route on this Victor, a lot of the onus is on Peyz to make these fights competitive.
Oh, God. Yeah, wait, this team is going to do no damage. Let's see what Scout's second item is, because I don't see a tier quite yet, so this still could be like Roa into Blackfire Torch. I think it's a little bit tough. It might just be Horizon Focus second, seeing as that has been the new stat stick in the mid lane.
Valkyrie check. All right, there we go. Peyz passes. Crisp,
Nice.
buddy. Crisp? What? Why? Why did we go that far into the turret?
Okay, fine. I mean, that was a good combo there from JDG. There was no ability for Weibo to continue that fight. We saw that Zhuo did the headbutt pulverize, also got the stun in the middle of that onto Crisp, though he gets locked down, isn't able to do much. I mean, there we go, cool.
Valkyrie
we just
check,
traded
pass
it for
again.
Cataclysm.
Oh, Coling though. Peyz. Can't dance around the line there. Light gets the feats of warfare, and Zhuo now heralding back towards his turret. He had the ultimate if he needed it, but this is going to be plates towards Light and a lot of gold to this Lucian. Again, we talk about the damage conversation. Light is going to be a huge player.
Oh, he got 2 plates on top side. Now he's going to get 3 plates split between him and Tian on the bottom lane. This feels really strong. Both of these objectives now are going to spawn around the same time in about 2 minutes here. So it'll be up to
they got
Weibo
grubs
on my mind. Yeah, they're just going to get the full first turret. This is going to be feats of strength going over at 13 minutes. That's a huge inflection of gold coming on through.
It was so good for JDG catching Chris there, but it all crumbles off that one culling. Zhuo swinging on over here, but I don't think he's going to be able to connect in time to cut Tian or Light off, who still have access to their dashes and their flashes. Yeah, so huge swing there from Tian and Light to get Weibo in a very comfortable position with those neutral objectives that we were talking about a couple minutes earlier coming pretty soon. Oh, Zhuo. Zhuo, this is not your jungle. Showing over the wall. Xiaohu's going to drop some decent damage. I don't think there's much more to be had here. Weibo, again, they don't need to fight here. They need resets on their AD in jungle.
Yeah. What does Lucian get on this second back? Probably just going to be completed boots and then getting closer to a second item. Okay, so he's going to forego that. Oh, no. There's an RFC in this game on Lucian. Get me out. Oh,
well,
God.
no, Flicker Blade. No?
Oh, I guess it could be Flicker Blades? Okay. But you and I, Slayer, we've had a conversation. I'm going to have to hold this. I think Zhuo's maybe dead.
Maybe. Shun's playing pretty good bodyguard. Peyz is coming over. Double knock up at the keeper's verdict. Charm's going to come out here from Crisp. Xiaohu's trying to burn through Shun's health bar. The Cataclysm on the back end, but Peyz has a ton of damage. Xiaohu is trapped. There's nowhere for him to go, and Peyz is trying to step up as the Titan for JDG. Looking a lot better after that D plus Kia series right now.
Okay, so they got 2 free kills there coming on through. Chris does end up escaping. It's short-term gold here for JDG, and maybe some nice, mostly needed reprieve here in this game. But while it was a summoner trade, and also the kills, as we had just mentioned, Light wasn't there for that play, and now JDG are going to be missing a little bit of spells to be able to make plays on this dragon. I want to see what their priority is going to look like. Wow, this is a really old replay now. Cinematic camp. There we go. So league director. I don't know why we got to do this to Peyz. I just had to watch him lose to aiming yesterday. Really not my my best life that I'm living here.
Not about it,
but
yeah.
That is a full turret here for Light. I should hope that Weibo are going to start up this Herald.
I mean, I'm just hoping that Light gets a reset in soon. If he can't, he can't. You're right, the Herald's here. Because I think he's going to have Flicker Blade on back. Chris, re-engaging here, just trying to set up pressure. JDG, how do they navigate back into this pit? They don't have any vision. There's a ward thrown over, but
they have no
I don't
flash.
think he really justifies.
Why are we here?
Yeah, there's no reason to be here.
They're gonna try and go for this dragon on bottom side. Xiaoxu is currently underneath the turret right now, trying to take this tier 1 in the bottom lane. I like this lane allocation that we're seeing from Weibo, having Cassante sit in mid so that he can flex back down into bottom side. So here is the replay around this dragon pit that we saw. There's just no damage from Weibo. It's almost entirely Xiaohu in this instance, and a lot of their damage went into the Alistar. So once that happens, Peyz does pop the barrier. To have Scout also hitting over the wall and getting a few assists does feel nice, but it's Weibo with 3 grubs. It's Weibo with the Herald as well. They can forego this dragon, get a lot of early gold. They already have the top lane tier 1 and the bottom lane tier 1. If they can get the next one in mid, I think it's harder for JDG later in this game to properly contest this objective.
All right, Weibo, let's not make the same mistake JDG did, hanging around an objective that just isn't theirs. Going to try and get the inside track towards mid lane. Zhuo engaging onto Xiaohu. TP coming through here. This is going to be Xiaoxu joining into the fight. Exhaust onto Xiaohu. Unbreakable will out of Zhuo. And it's a big old nothing burger.
All right. Still is a dragon going over to JDG. Also is going to be Ocean
Herald?
Soul here in this game. They're going to summon Herald. They want to try to pressure their opponents. The longer that JDG can stay on this map, the better it is for Weibo, because they have a bot lane that's pushing in favor of them. And while this top lane is just going to get caught, let's see if they can make something to Xiaohu.
Between worlds, you talk about how tanky is Poppy. Really, he's taking enough to get through that first full engage. Tian, 1 versus 2. Xiaoxu doesn't have enough damage. The Herald crashes in. Crisp gets a charm. Keeper's verdict. Who can it punt out? It's going to be the Lucian. They actually get light out. Bit of a window here for JDG to go forward. They do lose their mid-tier 1 in the background. Zhuo gets a headbutt onto Xiaoxu. No mana, no dashes. He's going to go down, and a huge Gnar ultimate comes across from Xiaohu, throwing both Breathe and Tian into the wall. Light has no way to really fight any of these kills. There's so many blinking health bars, but he can't auto the ones low enough. Flashes back over his Raptors pit, but Peyz follows him over the wall and cuts him down for size.
There we go. Okay, so Weibo thought they could squeeze a little bit more from their opponents, but JDG are just able to slip out from underneath their opponents. They get 4 kills for the trade. It is Weibo going for short-term economic victories, though. They were able to accomplish their objective of getting the mid-tier 1. Now it's about whether or not they can make that into a meaningful objective here in this game, as we see that multiple members are getting on their way or already completed their second item.
The big one's Peyz, right? Couple tier stacks away from more mana. I want to go back to a conversation we were going to have before action started. It is the Flicker Blade for Light. I think what we wanted to talk about, Ulk, was... All right, hold on. We got to go through the replay. Interrupted again?
Yeah, I think that's fine. Like, cool. They overextended for Shun. I actually think that Tian has a decent idea of what he's supposed to do, which is keep a lot of the engage members away. Remember, there's no Poppy for a large portion of this fight. Also, Xiaoxu and Zhuo on the other side. This Keeper's verdict, though, it takes Light out, and this is what I think ends up being the downfall. Another fight where Light is not in a position to be there, and that's when JDG are able to pounce. That's where I think a lot of the big difference making is happening.
And, you know, back to the discussion, Light doesn't have enough damage here. He goes Flicker Blade. He has 2 long swords right now. I like, low-key, this looks a lot different if the guy just rushes IE, which I think is the right second item, by the way, not Flicker Blade. That's what I want to talk about.
I saw the community was talking about, you know, some change. This might just be a solo killer. At least he has no flash.
Sun is here to cover. Arcane Storm down. Good to Total Strike back. Keeper's Verdict knock him, though. It's Sun to the rescue again. Saving Scout there from certain peril.
All right, 45 seconds before the Otacon spawn. Scout's going to have to catch this wave, take his recall here. Hopefully he is closer to his Horizon focus that we were mentioning. It's going to be Gnar that takes over this lane. Does not have teleport for this next objective fight, but you can see that Weibo are trying to fight over priority, pushing in bottom lane, pushing in mid lane. There's a good find there for JDG. Buys them time here out on the map.
Should claim some of this standing gold. Definitely in the top lane here. Peyz testing his limits a bit. Light going blow for blow. My lord, that big rocket did a ton of damage. Both redemptions come down to heal up these 80 carries. And this is buying time. Mostly for Xiaoxu. Gets that top lane tier 1. He's going to push that wave in a bit further with Octagon spawning on the other side of the map. Tian looking for an angle onto Peyz, who still has Valkyrie. He just used that and the flash available. So the Cataclysm threat, pretty minor right now for Tian still.
All right, right now we're seeing that there's a bit of a jockeying position, but because all of these outer turrets for JDG are gone, it is a little easier for their opponents to just walk in, muscle their way through. You can see that they're also contesting pretty high on the mid-wave. Light needs to be careful. You do not have flash, and it's a little tough to get out with Relentless Pursuit versus the Alistar combo. But because they got to the mid-wave first, they get to go right back into Fog of War around this river.
Oh, Chris, good interrupt.
Wow,
Will
Chris
gets out of his headbutt pulverized. Now he drops the Unbreakable Will. Light, though, has a shot onto Peyz, who has Valkyrie over the wall, and they lose Woe first. Remember, Otacon is on this bot side, so Weibo, I like them not over-chasing here. They can force JDG to respond to this Otacon and not allow them to reset if they want.
I don't think they care about the Otacon at this moment. They're having Light go mid. I think they're more indexing towards this dragon right now that spawns in 15 seconds. Zhuo will be up before it spawns, and he will have a lot of movement speed. I wonder if he has a summoner spellbook available to him. He could try to use Ghost or something. Seems like Weibo recognized that they're a little too low on resources. No mana there on Xiaohu, and they just used 2 ultimates, so just going to be a reset for the time being.
Remember, both these top laners in their own little world, but they do have teleport for any sort of fight. See if Xiaoxu tries to stack up the Gnar bar into a good spot before maybe TPing on over. It's actually, like you called, Zhuo, this is going to enter the river first here to try and fight back the Vision battle. Tian nearby, but both teams still need to play a bit of a stall game before either, oh boy, can get into position for this dragon.
All right. Let's take a look back at the Peyz. Peyz, he has flash. There's
Oh,
Valkyrie.
yeah. He's okay. Tian has to drop the Cataclysm, though. That's the threat of the Poppy.
Whoa.
Peyz still ends up flashing at the very end of it, though.
I don't know if maybe he just lost track of where Xiaohu was, or maybe he was thinking that the last little bits of maybe a redemption was going to happen. I don't know. Either way, though, now this means that Weibo, they get access to this objective. There is no ability here for JDG to play. I mean, Keeper's Verdict is up and available, but I think right now what they've been doing is just getting time for Xiaoxu on the side lane. Now up 40 CS versus this Cassante. I need to see this guy make a big difference, because last night's games versus D plus Kia were really, really disappointing when we talked about how good of a player he was for this team in Split 3.
Oh, here he comes. Has the Sterix done. 2 items versus Breathe. That's a huge power influx. And this is an LPL Classic Hulk. We're dancing at the Otacon and likely flipping this entire game now.
Okay, so remember there's no flash here for Peyz on this fight. Also,
Does Tian
Meganar
get
now
in?
coming through.
Oh, Shun.
Wow.
That's it right there. Knocks out the 80 carry and engage tool for Weibo, and they're completely awestruck right now. Huge charm comes across from Chris on the back end to maybe save Breathe, and it's enough time to get Shun killed, but Xiaoxu flies in the back line. Huge knockups and throws into the air. It's just knockup city right now, this fight. Chris gets a good hit up onto Peyz, but he remains untouched, and the Arcane Storm is ever expanding in the name of JD Gaming. Xiaoxu looking for a way back in to eliminate Peyz, but he spots him with the Phosphorus Bomb. Xiaoxu off to the side. Can the General get in to find these kills? Peyz can't even fall to Tian, and there's the ace coming through for JD Gaming.
There it is, the Otacon, and they win the fight afterwards. A full ace in trade for one member of JDG. Also getting a mid-turret for Scout. This is continuing to be how this matchup has gone in recent times. JDG knocked them out of the regional finals. JDG knocked them out of Split 3 grand finals. I think it is really just the top side of this map getting things going. It was a rocky first few minutes for Scout and Sun. But as we see in this replay, Shun coming up massive with this Poppy. The Keeper's Verdict basically immediately wins them the fight. And even if it is a great engage here from Chris Ronda 3, where is the team? Xiaohu's already late on this ultimate. They put so much into killing this Poppy that there's no ability for them to turn around this fight afterwards.
Such a huge catch from that ultimate from Xiaoxu. He gets light. This Lucian that we've been putting so much, attention on. It does such little damage value in this fight. And it's who else on the other side? Peyz. I mean, on his complete limit. He is stared in the face by a Cassante, a J4, and he is more than up for the task at this point. Now 7-1, has his LDR done. He is far and away ahead of Light by this point, and it's going to start showing in the items pretty soon.
And not just him, look at the other carry on his team. This Victor now having the Seeker's arm guard. Very, very potent and pretty difficult to take down. Also going to hit level 16 in a few moments here if he's able to access the mid lane wave. Looks like they are giving it over to Peyz. Teleport comes on through from Xiaohu. They know that this Gnar is not going to be in the area. Any chunks they can get might open up some time for them to start up a Baron.
Big rocket from Peyz to trade back. Xiaohu really wants a flank angle with this Between Worlds, trying to use that invisibility to maybe catch Peyz out, but the ward will spot him, so the flank does not manifest. JD Gaming kind of can just play on the back foot. Bide time for Xiaoxu. He can knock down a tier 2 turret. Weibo are kind of stuck here in no man's land.
Okay, Xiaoxu is still splitting. The longer that JDG can keep them in this mid lane, the better it's going to be for them. There will be no Mega Gnar for the next few moments here. You can see the pings going in on mid. They want to find Zhuo.
So Chris, he's trying to get a charm. He does catch out Scout, but he seems comfortable with Shun guarding him as a bodyguard. Xiaohu's going to try and execute onto Zhuo. Gets the kill. Keeper's Verdict is not going to find its mark this time for Zhuo, and Scout is caught in the stasis. Good flash get away from the knockup, though. Xiaoxu trying to throw out these little boomerangs to find the kills, but Breathe is thriving. Light's trying to dish out the damage. Xiaoxu feels like he can go blow for blow, and he will make the difference alongside the untouched Peyz. Weibo thought they had a way in. They thought they had their Lucian roaring through with the damage, but it's just too little, too late for Weibo Gaming.
There it is. I just love what we got from Xiaoxu in this game here. He has been so good in the solo lane. Died a few times on dives, but has made it basically no mistakes in this game here. gets a massive ultimate in that last fight around the Otacon. We get the, oh, he swapped! The Grasshopper has changed. It's going over. Does this count as them still being right, by the way? Because we've seen a few mid-game pips of the Grasshopper.
I think if we're using that, then I don't know if we can count some of his earlier wins, because he definitely switched sides in some of those other matchups as well.
I just want to remember, never wrong, either correct or lying.
So true.
100% prediction rate coming on through for our Grasshopper. I like, just look at this fight. There's no damage. Like, where are we as Weibo putting a lot of our focus? It has been into the tanks, but you have to wait for your combination of spells. You have to wait for your cooldowns, and I like that we got to see it. We noted it right before that fight, that Victor with these items is a little bit tougher to kill. The Zonias buys them time, and now JDG, they get the fight, they get the Baron, and now they're going to put themselves at soul point.
Feels like one fight with this Baron could really end this game too. Light getting some serious training into Xiaoxu. Tian over the wall. Chris going to start things off. Woe is marking Tian. He can't get in. And Jun is going to punt out Light again. Where is the damage? It's all going to be on Xiaoxu. Breathe tries to go all out, but a huge shield from Scout is going to save him. And now Weibo are running for the hills, but Jun has the mark for death. Xiaohu gets thrown into the wall, and the kills are stacking for Peyz. Already picks up the triple kill, and it's going to be the ace over for JD Gaming, putting a nice little bow on game number 1, trying to keep their ASI alive, and they'll do so for now with a 1-0 lead over a familiar foe.
It's very important that JDG win here tonight. If they are able to beat Weibo, they will keep their dreams alive of being able to make it into the bracket stage. And it seems like with a confident game number 1, the JDG fans can keep on screaming their Jaios. They can keep themselves for at least one more game here in this tournament.
What a game also for, specifically who we were a little bit doubtful of in the D plus Kia series. You mentioned Peyz. This is a big game for him on the Corki stat-wise, but yeah, Xiaoxu, again, in that matchup was against DK very routed. And this time around, man, he looked completely polished. You talked about how you expected him to take a lane advantage, but even the part of the game we feel like Breathe is best at, out of the lane, Xiaoxu was flawless almost.
I don't think that they got very much out of the lane swap there. The Lucian didn't seem like it was able to do all that much. The level 1 was very potent, but aside from that, didn't seem like we got to see too much. And honestly, I want to call into criticism what we actually got from Xiaohu in this game, because while the damage numbers are similar, I think that his impact throughout multiple of these fights was pretty minimal, all things considered. And Weibo as a team, coordination-wise, have been very all over the place. Even just in this game alone, we're talking about we're fighting when our Fed Lucian, or the Lucian that is ahead at this point, is not near a fight, is not near the Dragon Pit. Why are we looking for these plays? If we can't make it happen with a burst mage like this Aurora, then we really just have to get back to basics. Play when we have numbers advantage. Play when we have the most strong member on our team.
I think that's a great call out. The Aurora, there were a couple of moments we're going to see in these replays that were close, but again, into a comp again with short range. This was supposed to be like the wheelhouse of a Jarvan composition, a Lucian comp, especially in Aurora as well. But the general was out of commission in game 1, it felt like.
I mean, this is some more of the bot lane plays. This was probably the most flashy moment that we got to see from Light. And while the 2v2 didn't exactly go to expectation, like, I don't think that I saw a moment where Light and Crisp didn't work well together. I think that the problem is that I didn't see Crisp be able to find engages when the rest of his team was there. Like, in this play, he uses all of his cooldowns and then he leaves the fight. So now Xiaohu and Tian end up being alone and they both end up dying. We talk about the bottom lane play where he finds like a 3-man ultimate like this, even around mid lane. He dives in, but no one else is there. So timing is really, really critical, because you can find the perfect engage, but if no one's there to actually follow you up, then basically it's not the perfect engage, right?
Right. I mean, and Xiaoxu did have these perfect engages. You saw the 2-man slam there. The Otacon fight that we're going to get probably after this one is another great example of what you're talking about, with Chris getting this huge knock-up, and then, yeah, we're going to get it right here. with this. I mean, first of all, the Shun keeper's verdict is huge, but
yes.
it's Chris going back in. His engage is flashy, it looks cool, and then falls flat right here. Oh, 3-man charm, Hu knockup. All right, where's the damage? And then it's Xiaoxu's turn, and what does he get? He catches Light, of all people, into a CC chain. That is a valuable wombo combo.
Since we saw Xiaoxu join this lineup in Split 3, he has just been able to take advantage of Breathe in these matchups every single time. I think of the regular season when we saw them in their very last 2 series. It was JDG Weibo on the second to last day, and then on the very last day of the season, we got to see JDG Weibo again due to a reschedule. That first series, they put a lot of focus into diving Xiaoxu early, getting an advantage for Breathe, and that's how they ended up winning the series. Then they come into the next day. JDG looked like they have a lot of prep done. They were able to, I think, react accordingly to the series that they had just played, and Breathe never found those same advantages. That ended up being kind of why we saw them take a 2-1 victory at the end of the season. So I don't know if this is going to continue to go more to the same. This just means that we're going to see our 2 LPL representatives here in Group A go 1-1 and potentially tie themselves up here in the group.
With a pretty clutch head-to-head that would give JDG, but I don't want to talk about that too early. But one, because I don't want to jinx your JD Gaming squad all. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that to Peyz. Let's talk. Well, MVP. I think it should just be Xiaoxu. No, okay, it's gonna be Peyz. I mean, look at the KDA.
Almost got a penta. Almost got a penta. 40% of his team's damage. Probably a game that statistically is going to feel very nice, but I think from an eye test, it was a normal Corki game in my mind. He had a lot of players, a lot of champions that were walking into him, which is kind of what Corki wants to be able to do.
I just want to see the voting split. I'll be happy. Let's just throw some love to Xiaoxu. Let's give him. All right, I'll take it. One vote for Xiaoxu. He gets 1 of the 4 or 5. No unanimous there. But hey, 2 guys that in the D plus Kia series were kind of absent. They both have immediate impact against a familiar foe. So shout out to Xiaoxu and Peyz and the rest of JD Gaming, who are 1 game away from making sure they have a shot at the knockout stage. It's Weibo that is going to have to reconvene and come back with a new game plan. We will see that in draft game number 2 after an intermission. See you guys on the other side.